From weed connoisseur to MMA legend, there are many strings to the bow of Nicholas Robert Diaz. But his short-lived foray as an MMA promoter is one of his lesser-known achievements. Today, we look at how a falling out with the UFC led Diaz to enter the fight business himself, and quickly realized being the boss was a lot harder than it looked. Welcome to the INC, and this is the story of Nick Diaz's failed MMA promotion. By 2013, Nick Diaz's place as an MMA icon was all but confirmed. Diaz first came to the public conscious in 2014, when as an outspoken 21-year-old, he claimed an upset win over touted prospect Robbie Lawler at UFC 47. Despite going 4-4 after the Lawler fight, Diaz entered his stride competing overseas, enjoying spells with Pride, Dream, and Strikeforce, where his wars with Paul Daly and Takanori Gomi became the stuff of legend, as well as claiming the Strikeforce welterweight title in 2010. After the UFC's purchase of Strikeforce in 2011, Diaz returned to the promotion as a part of the deal, but his second tenure was marred by constant conflicts with the company's top brass. In the aftermath of a welterweight title loss to George St. Pierre, Diaz abruptly announced his retirement, citing his disillusionment with the sport's bureaucracy, which included a 12-month suspension for marijuana, and that he'd only return for a GSP rematch or a super fight with Anderson Silva. With his avenues to a return seemingly closed, fans were curious to see the first step of Diaz's post-fight career. His decision took many in the community by surprise. At the start of 2013, Diaz launched the website nickdiazpromotions.com. And in May of that year, he announced his intention to start his own MMA promotion. The event, dubbed WAR MMA, would take place in Diaz's hometown of Stockton, with a fight card consisting of local fighters, many of which were Nick's training partners. According to Nick's legal representative, Jonathan Tweedale, Diaz set up WAR MMA as a means of giving back to his local community, as well as his wish to be part of a promotion that focuses on the fighters rather than the owner. An obvious jab at UFC president Dana White. MMA media quickly scoffed at the announcement, citing Diaz's tendency to make bold declarations on his future, only to go back on them when push came to shove. Most notably in his frequent threats to retire to pursue a career in boxing. Moreover, many felt Diaz underestimated the logistics of such an operation, with the company's press release revealing no management structure and a 6-week turnaround before the company's June debut. UFC president Dana White was quick to add to the growing ridicule.
If he were to say he would be interested in the rematch.
I thought he was a retired promoter now. Is that not the case?
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
Good for him. Yeah. Welcome to the losing money business.
What the press release did reveal, however, was enough to keep fans intrigued. Diaz had been a longtime advocate of Pride's rule set, and announced WAR MMA would take place in a ring and ban the use of elbows, believing doing so would allow grapplers more opportunity to work on the ground. Rather than secure a TV deal, Diaz also announced the event would be streamed for free on his promotion's website, with fans encouraged to make suggested donations based on their perceived quality of the event.
And you think that people are going to pay you $4.50 even though they don't have to, just out of the goodness of their...
As the weeks passed, more details of WAR MMA started coming to the fore, with a match between Justin Baseman and UFC veteran Daniel Roberts serving as the company's main event. The two were joined by Tough alum Clayton McKinney, Tachi Palace champion Cody Gibson, and Mike Hayes, who'd recently claimed a win over former UFC title challenger Jeff Monson. Diaz may have been able to sign names for his show, but he didn't have the legal right to host it, with the head of the California State Athletic Commission revealing Diaz had yet to be approved of a promoter's license just 3 weeks before the event. While Diaz was eventually given the green light to host the event, it did little to ease fan perception of a crude operation run by those ill-prepared for such an undertaking. Think of it as a stoner version of 24. By this point, however, Diaz couldn't back out of the deal. WAR MMA was going ahead whether he or the morbidly curious fanbase were ready for it.
Many will say that Nick Diaz is the most entertaining fighter in mixed martial arts. Tonight he leaves his gloves at home, but he still looks to put on a show tonight at Stockton Arena, this time wearing his promoter's cap.
WAR MMA held its one and only event on June 22nd, 2013. After some early teething troubles, production of the event was surprisingly solid. TJ DeSantis and Javier Vasquez provided an engaging commentary duo and were later joined by UFC referee Josh Rosenthal, a man who, like Diaz, had fallen foul of the Mary Jane. The positivity stretched to the fights themselves. Despite most of the undercard boasting a few pro fights, the talent was comparable to that of an average MMA show. Even if Diaz's decision to outlaw elbow strikes failed to have the desired effect. Of the 12 fights on the card, all but 4 went to a judge's decision, with Cody Gibson providing the night's only knockout in controversial fashion.
Ooh, good knee. There you go. There was the knee you asked for. There it is. It's over. Cody Gibson,
what did I tell
victorious.
After a trio of forgettable decisions, Daniel Roberts took on Justin Basement for the night's main event. Roberts started the fight strongly, coming close to finishing with a flurry of early strikes, before Basement managed to level the fight with a workmanlike performance in the second. Little could separate the two men during the cagey final round, with Basement doing just enough in the eyes of the judges to claim a split decision. An event many wrote off as simply a publicity stunt had proven a solid, if unspectacular, success. Initial reviews for WAR MMA were mixed. Many praised the event's production values given its short turnaround, while others compared the show to Vince McMahon's XFL, pomp and bravado celebrating its innovations, but ultimately the same product at a much lower talent level. WAR MMA didn't disclose how many people watched the event, although one report suggested the highest donation was $420. Right on, man. Righteous. Most of the fighters associated with WAR found little success, with Justin Basement going on a 14-fight losing streak in the years after the fight. The one exception was Gibson, whose performance earned him a short tenure with the UFC before claiming the biggest win of his career against former title challenger John Dodson in 2021. Diaz expressed interest in hosting a second WAR event later that year, but by that point his relationship with the UFC had started to thaw. And by the time Stockton's Finest earned his dream match with Anderson Silva, WAR MMA was a distant memory. MMA fighters starting their own promotion has been in vogue in recent years, and in some ways it was Diaz's venture 9 years ago that set the template many would follow to this day. WAR MMA may be a footnote in the sport's grand story, but hey, it's proof that there's more to the King of Stockton than meets the eye. Just about.
You know what? I don't really like it here. Are we starting fights in this?
No.
Watch what happens.
No.
When we actually say what we think here.
Hey, this is the INC. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Or else you might get a little Stockton slap.